Hi, Martin Logan here, and today I'm going to show you how to use the Erlware Portius release to set up your own Erlware repository. And that repository can be for use on the internet, or it can be for use within your company or home or organization. So, the first thing that we need to do is use Faxian to install Portius itself. We do that with Faxian install release Portius. With Portius installed now, we'll go ahead and start it up. So Portius, and then we will provide it with two arguments. The first argument is the document root temp repo, and you see it doesn't tab complete. I don't actually have a temp repo. And we'll give it a port 8080. So Portius will start up, it'll create the document root under temp repo, and it will listen on port 8080 for incoming requests from Faxian. Alright, now that that's started up, we need to publish something to our repo. It's worth noting here what it says. Portius is starting with document root temp repo. Packages should be published to temp repo writable, and Portius will move valid packages from that location into temp repo pub. Pub is where you would want to actually pull packages from when you're installing. What Portius does is it takes the packages in temp repo writable, it validates them, makes sure they're good solid OTP packages, and then it moves them into temp repo pub. Along the way, it will also generate documentation if there is edoc in those packages and place it in temp repo doc. If the package isn't a good OTP package, it will fail and the package will never get moved over. So with that started up, let's publish something to Portius. So the thing we need to do that is change the Faxian configuration to actually know about this new repo. In order to do that, we need to modify the Faxian config file. So we're going to use epkg, which comes with Faxian. It'll be installed for you if you have Faxian. And we'll use its config file path command to display the path for the Faxian release config file. So epkg config file path, that's short, Faxian. So the latest version of Faxian's config is located here. Now let's modify that config. Going to the bottom, we see there are two things here, repos to fetch from and repos to publish to. Let's comment that out and change our repos to fetch from. Instead of the current repo.erlware.org pub, let's change it to localhost 8080. And let's do the same thing with repos to publish to. Okay, with that all done, let's verify there's nothing in our Portius repo, Faxian search, and indeed there's nothing. And now let's build the MokiWeb OTP project as an example. So we'll do a synon dist. Let's do a clean first, make sure there's nothing in there. And then let's do a synon dist to fully build up a release. So we're building the MokiWeb application, the MokiWeb OTP application, and a MokiWeb OTP release. Let's publish all of that. Faxian knows we're in a synon project, so I'm only going to just say Faxian publish with no arguments. And here we see that it's asking us if we want to publish development apps MokiWeb OTP. Yes, we do. And do we want to publish MokiWeb itself? Yes, we do. And now it's asking us if we want to publish the MokiWeb OTP release, which we use for testing, and we want to do that too. And you can see that Faxian tells us at the bottom that it's published to this location, localhost 8080. And writable, the writable repo, which you notice here. Okay, so Portius has a polling frequency of about 30 seconds. You can configure that differently, but that's what the default is. So let's see if we have anything in our repo yet. And we do. Everything's been moved over. So you can see we did a search, which works on pub. Search works against the repo to fetch from. And we can see that we have two applications and one release. Okay, how about installing something? Faxian, install release, MokiWeb OTP. There we go. MokiWeb OTP is now started. If I do a which, well, let's try this. ls user local Erlware bin, and you can see that I've got Moki Web OTP. Moki Web OTP installed for me. Done. That's great. Now, what if we want to view the documentation? Because presumably these things have documentation. Let's take a look in our repo. Temp repo. Under repo doc, we have a lib index.html and a lib index.html source, as well as releases index.html and releases index.html source. These source files are templates, and they're used by Portius each time it notices a new app to generate actual HTML. So if we were to go to our browser and take a look at localhost 8080 repo doc, we get a directory listing, and this has all been generated for us by the Gen web server and Portius. We can see we have repo or release index, and we have lib index. So that's about it. Maybe we'll do a little bit more of an advanced Portius video later, but this ought to be enough to get you started with your internal repo. Thanks a lot, and happy Erlanging.